My wife slept with her best friend and now wants to work things out. I, 36M, have been with my wife, 35F, for 17 years. We have 3 children together. I was always of the mindset that I wanted monogamy in life, one woman to come home to, and that I'd be with for the long haul. I had women try to talk to me over the years, but I never pursued it because I was completely content in my marriage. My wife was my dream girl and I never wanted to hurt her. Over the years, there was 2 occasions where I discovered she was being unfaithful in our marriage. One was an off-and-on-again affair that lasted a few years with her married co-worker, and the other was a fling with an ex she dated in high school when she went to visit her family states away. I'm sure there will be people who say I am stupid, which looking back I can't even deny myself, but after a period of separation with both situations I decided to forgive my wife as I never wanted to raise my children in a broken home like I had been, and I really felt like we could make it through it. We were young whenever the situation with her co-worker happened, so I chalked it up to being young and making dumb choices without thinking. For a while things were seemingly okay. I never fully trusted her, but I tried my best to push back my doubts because I knew if I decided to forgive her, then I had to do my best to move past it and have a clean slate. It's been 4 years since the second time she'd been unfaithful, and I felt like I made the right decision by letting her have that chance to show she still wanted to be in our marriage. She was a different person for years and we were happy and even had various things set in motion for the future of our family. However, 2 months ago, my reality was once again shattered by yet another incident, which in my mind was by far worse than the others. I ended up receiving a message from one of my best friend's wives. This friend knew my wife a little, he'd met her in passing, but it wasn't like we all hung out together or anything like that for me to even worry about them. We worked together, so there was sometimes my wife would bring him up multiple times while we were talking about work. She would bring me coffee to work and also one for him. I noticed when she did, she'd dress in more revealing clothing than she usually wore, but I never commented on it. She even convinced me that we should buy him a joint birthday present and take him out for drinks on his birthday. Just little things like that, which were obviously weird, but like I said, I didn't think I had anything to worry about with either of them. To my knowledge he had a good marriage with his wife, he never spoke badly about it, so I didn't think he'd have any interest either. Not to mention we'd actually been friends for a very long time and I trusted him. I'd make comments in a joking way to my wife about how she took too much of an interest in him and she laughed it off saying she just wanted to have another couple to be friends with. She never actually tried to plan anything as far as to hang out with him and his wife as a couple. I agreed they would be good to be friends with, so again I never thought too much into the overly friendliness of my wife with him. Turns out I was way wrong not to, because I was met with multiple screenshots implying they were engaged in a full-out affair. I wanted to get my proof situated before I ended up confronting my wife, because I didn't want her to have the opportunity to manipulate the situation or try to lie her way out of it. So I started to go through call logs, credit statements, etc. Because I didn't know how far this actually went past the social media screenshots I saw. When the truth came out, neither of them tried to lie to me about it. I found out they were sneaking off to hotels when she was supposed to be doing doubles at work and he was supposed to be off with family. And that my friend would leave work to go see her at her job basically every day for a month and she'd meet up with him on his lunch breaks. They were even planning a weekend at a hotel for the next weekend before the truth came out. I obviously cut ties with my friend and honestly, I have no idea what to do about my situation with my wife. Their affair ended and my wife apologized profusely, saying she just got carried away. She said that she'd felt lacking in our marriage with both of us dedicating so much time to work/other things, and that my friend was there and a nice guy. She said she let herself envy the way he treated his wife and wished she could have had that with me but was afraid to tell me I wasn't doing enough in our marriage. So in her words, she made a mistake and that she didn't know how to end it once it started. For now we are living in the same house, because realistically neither of us have the means to leave right now as her family doesn't live here, plus the costs of renting and houses here are absurd, and on top of that we still have our children in our house who are all still in school. She is basically trying to do anything to keep me around, including telling me I can see women casually outside of our marriage as long as I come home to her. She would never hold it against me as cheating. I told her that's not much of a marriage and it's certainly not anything I ever set out to have, but she is hellbent on keeping our family together by any means. She's even brought up how we shouldn't let our kids live in a broken home because of our marital issues. I guess my wife is under the impression that nothing could make me want out of this marriage and that by offering things like that she thinks will fix our marriage. I guess in a way that is my fault for letting so much slide in the past. I do love her in some ways, but at this point I think the love is more just from the fact we have kids together and that I've been with her for nearly 2 decades rather than feelings of being in love. My self-confidence is low and my wife is out of my league. My girlfriend's male best friend ruined our relationship, but what she did next left me in shock. Plus update. Back in 2022, I was in a relationship with a girl named Sarah. We were really close, but there was always one issue that bothered me, her male best friend. I've always had a thing against this male best friend dynamic, and Sarah, unfortunately, seemed to listen to him more than she listened to me. As a naturally possessive guy, I tried talking to her about it several times, but she never really got where I was coming from. One day, everything fell apart. Her best friend accused me of something I never did, cheating on her with another girl. Sarah was furious and called me, hurling accusations without even giving me a chance to explain. I was in complete shock because, at the time of this so-called cheating, I was out with my family at a dinner. I even had pictures to prove it. I told her I'd show her evidence, but she didn't care. Before I could even explain myself, she blocked me on everything. Thanks to her so-called best friend, my relationship was suddenly over. But I wasn't going to just sit there and accept being framed for something I didn't do. I couldn't reach her directly, but I had her home address, so I decided to send her a letter with screenshots and pictures from that night, proving I was with my family and not with anyone else. After sending the letter, I got a call from a mutual friend who knew both Sarah and me well. He told me something that shocked me to my core: Sarah was now dating her male best friend. I was devastated. I had been with her for 8 months, and she believed this guy over me without a second thought. But what could I do? I was blocked from all communication, and my relationship was over. But that's when things got interesting. Sarah received the letter and immediately started calling and messaging me. I wasn't replying to any of it. Then, at college, she showed up and was practically begging me to talk to her. She cried, apologized, and admitted she made a huge mistake. She wanted me back. As much as I still had feelings for her, I told her straight up that I couldn't be with someone who didn't trust me, who chose to believe someone else over me. After that, I walked away. The next day, I saw her in the college canteen, and guess who showed up? Her male best friend, the same guy who ruined everything, was there begging for her forgiveness. But what happened next was pure gold. Sarah slapped him. Right there, in front of everyone. I swear, his face turned red from the impact. It was the most satisfying thing I'd ever seen. Now, the sad part is that Sarah suffered too, even though she was misled. So, I decided to stay friends with her. To this day, we're still close friends, and she trusts me more than anyone. I've even heard through the grapevine that she still has feelings for me, which has left me a bit confused about what to do next. But, hey, at least that slap was epic. And let me tell you, stay cautious about those best friends. Sometimes, they're the ones who end up ruining everything. Update. Alright, everyone, I'm back again. First of all, I'd like to thank all the Reddit users for giving their honest opinions. Honestly, you guys helped me more than my own friend. For those who missed it, my ex-girlfriend Sarah believed her male best friend, Kenny, who falsely accused me of cheating. After she realized her mistake, she came back to me. Since then, she hasn't dated anyone. Some of you suggested I give her another chance, while others told me to run far away, lol. So, here's what happened next. I confronted Kenny about everything. He apologized and admitted that after Sarah left me, the two of them got intimate multiple times over the span of just 3 days. But Sarah had told me she hadn't done anything more than kiss him. So, here's lie number 1. At this point, I felt like something wasn't adding up. As Sarah is currently in her home country, I decided to call her mom to get some information. Her mom and my family have known each other for a long time, so I figured she would be honest with me. And here's where things took a turn. Her mom told me that, yes, they were in their home country, but Sarah wasn't there. Sarah was actually on a trip to Paris with some friends. Shocking, right? Sarah had been lying to me from the beginning. And there's more. Kenny also mentioned that during our relationship, Sarah had been cheating on me with multiple guys, something I never suspected. Now, I don't fully trust Kenny, but her mom's information about the Paris trip confirmed that Sarah has been dishonest. Sarah hasn't been answering my texts or calls. She claimed she was in her home country because of a family emergency, but that was clearly a lie. At this point, I'm certain she's been lying all along, and I suspect she was cheating on me throughout our relationship. She even told me she hasn't dated anyone for the past 2 years, but now I'm starting to believe that was just another lie. Now, I've made up my mind. I'm going to move on and find someone better, someone who's honest and trustworthy. But when Sarah comes back, you can bet I'll be confronting her about all of this, and I'll update you guys for sure. Till then, peace, victory, hand, light skin tone. My girlfriend told me she was pregnant, and a few days later she said she had an abortion, all as a joke. She destroyed my dreams to becoming a father, and am devastated now. At first, English is not my first language, so sorry for any mistakes. I've decided to post it here, because I need to tell it to someone, and because my GF is only person I truly trusted and tell her everything I have known who I can tell this. I know she and any friend of ours is not using Reddit, so they won't see that story. M27M and my GF 28F have been together for a past 2 years. It's my first serious relationship, and she's only person I truly loved. I mean really love. I have 4 siblings and mother. I like my siblings, but I do not love them, and I hate my mother, because she was abusive physically and mentally. I've never been close with them, and I always thought that if you are related by blood, you don't have to love that person, but I knew one thing: if I'll ever have kids I will love them no matter what. Becoming a dad was my most important dream. Not just a father, but a daddy. A man who will do anything for his family, who will watch when his kids takes their first steps, when they sat their first words. I just wanted to be with them, to look at them, to listen them, but now I don't know, I still want it. My GF told me she definitely won't have kids in future because it was her dream too, to become a mom, and she's more than happy to have happy family. We liked to make pranks with each other, but they were innocent jokes like doorway tape pranks, hiding small plastic spider in the drawer. It all happened in this week. In last week we lived like usual, there was no indication that my girlfriend was planning a prank on me. On Thursday after I've come back from work, she was sitting concerned on our living room. I immediately noticed it, and I sit next to her and asked what happened. She then pulled out a pregnancy test and told me is pregnant. I couldn't believe it, I was more than happy. I hugged her tight and kissed her. She was still concerned, but I was telling her all excited that we will be a parents and we both know it's big responsibility, but we will make it together. Then she asked me to not tell it to anyone yet, because she won't do it personally. I said it's not a problem, because on Sundays we often had dinner at her parents' house, so she will tell them then. I was happiest man alive. Before I find out about pregnancy, I was looking for an engagement ring. I wanted to ask her to marry me, but I decided to wait, to buy her ring what she deserves, and do it like it should be. I was excited all day and wanted to spend all time with her, but she was not in the mood. It was hormones, so I didn't push her and let her be alone, assuring her that I am there if she needed anything. When we got to bed, she was still a bad mood. I've hugged her, massaging her belly, telling her that I loved her and we would make it. Before we fall asleep, she told me she need to take day off work. I said it's fine, and if she will feel bad to call me, and I will come from work earlier to be with her. The next day I woke up before her, and like you Cecil went to work, leaving her a note that I wrote, "You will be perfect mother." I wanted to assure her that everything would be fine. I texted to her few times during work, but she didn't respond. I was a little worried and I've decided to talk with her later. When I've come back from work, she wasn't at home, so I texted to her and called few times, but she didn't respond. I've called to her mother and sister to ask if they knew where she was, but they didn't. I decided to wait a few hours while I tried to call her many times. After 4 to 5 hours, she came back. I went to her and hugged her, asking if everything is fine, and she told me yes, now everything is fine. She told me we need to talk, so we sit and I was waiting what she wanted to say. At the beginning, she said that she was afraid of the pregnancy and knew that she would not be able to be a good mother. I interrupted her by telling her that she would be a great mother, and as an example I gave her how close she was to her niece, how wonderfully she took care of her, and how much she loved her. She told me this is a different situation and she don't want to be mother yet, and with a little smile she told me I had an abortion. I couldn't believe it, so I asked her to say it one more time, and once again she told me she had an abortion. My heart was completely broken when I heard that and my eyes started to water with tears and I've asked why. Why did you do it? You said you wanted to be a mother. I fell weak and fall on my knees next to sofa and started crying. I reached out and placed my hand on her stomach, still asking why. I looked her in the eyes and said, how could you? How could you kill my baby? I saw it in her eyes she was regretting it, but she wasn't answering. For last time I asked screaming at her, why you killed my baby? Then she started to crying, she was saying it's not like that, and I was all a prank. I've started crying even harder and scared her if she's still pregnant, but she denied. She said she never has been pregnant and all of it's supposed to be a joke. She hugged me, saying she was sorry and she didn't tough I will react like this. After few minutes of crying and saying she was sorry, I asked her why she did that, why she tough it will be funny, but she couldn't respond to me. I pushed her away and walked out saying I need to be alone. She wanted to stop me, but I told her to leave me alone and I walked out. I took my car and drive off. I've stopped at parking place about 40 kilometers from place where I live. All the time my phone was ringing, I knew it was my GF, but I didn't want to talk with her, so I turned on airplane mode. I unfolded the seat so I could lie on it. For a few hours I was laying on it and I wasn't thinking about anything, but I fell asleep. I woke up when my alarm started ringing.